Hello everyone, welcome to the class. I don't know if I'm live or not. Let me just check if I'm live. Okay, yes, very much live. Very good morning to everyone. Uh, It's a pleasure to have you all here. I'm sorry for taking the class a little early today. Usually I take my classes at 10:15, but आज मैंने थोड़ा सा जल्दी क्लास रखा है because I have some urgent work to attend to. But don't worry, आपकी classes जो हैं वो normal आगे से इसी time पे normal जैसे 10 बजे होती हैं वैसे ही होंगी. There's going to be no change as such. Alright, so a very warm welcome to the class. I really hope that you guys are doing well. Now, before I start, I would request everyone to join me on Telegram. The link has been given below, or to scan code hai. The scan code is also given, so you can choose whichever way you want to join the group. Now, why is it important for you to join the Telegram group? Because this is where you will get updates regarding the classes. This is where you can contact the teachers. This is where you'll also get your access to notes. So that's something you should that's something you would definitely want. So I think you should join the Telegram group. And also guys, please do like, share and subscribe to the channel. Like the video, share the video, drop a comment if there's anything you would want us to add, or if there's anything you want to tell us. And also it's a request that please do subscribe to the channel, because we'll be very happy if you do so. Okay, so let's not waste any more time and let's start with our session. Okay, sorry, I was just checking something. Let's start with our session. So yesterday I had started talking about the Mauryan Empire. So that's what we will do. That's where we'll continue our discussion with. So I think I'd finished till revenue. I think espionage तक हमने finish कर लिया था, and now we will be talking about Ashoka. All right, his early life. Okay, we'll be talking about a lot of it. We'll be talking about his early life, his rise to power, how he converted to Buddhism, his Dhamma, his edicts, his major edicts, his pillar edicts. We'll be talking about all of that. Okay, so all right, let's start. Okay. So let's talk about the early life of Buddha. Sorry, early life of Ashoka. So as you can see here, he was the son of the Mauryan Emperor Bindusar, alright, and Shubha Darangi, that was the name of the mother, alright. What is the name of the mother? The name of the mother is Shubha Darangi, and he was the grandson of Chandragupta Maurya, but obvious. His other names are Devanampiya, which is the beloved of gods. It is something he had taken himself. And Piyadasi, which means beautiful or good to behold, someone who's good to see. And he is considered as one of the greatest emperors of India, and that is why he has this surname or title of Ashoka the Great. Born in 304 BCE, his reign lasted from 268 to 232 BCE when he died. At its zenith, at its helm basically, Ashoka's empire stretched from Afghanistan in the west to Bangladesh in the east. It covered almost whole of the Indian subcontinent except Kerala, Tamil Nadu and modern day Sri Lanka. So leaving all of these places like Kerala, Tamil Nadu and modern day Sri Lanka, all of these places, leaving these three places, the rest of the India, the rest of the subcontinent was basically being ruled by Ashoka. Ashoka had built many edicts all over India, including Nepal and Pakistan. All right. And what was the capital of, what was his capital? The capital of his empire was Patliputra. So earlier it was Rajgirha, it was Rajgir. But then from 4th century BCE onwards, he had shifted his empire, he shifted his capital to Patliputra because that's where the Ganga Valley is, right? So that's where he wanted to be. Okay. So, and had provincial capitals, and he had what? He had provincial capitals at Takshila and Ujjain. Okay. So that's about his early life. Okay. Chali, let's talk about rise to power. Let's do a few slides and then we can clear some doubts together. How did he rise to power? Now, for anyone who's been to Patna or who belongs to Patna, now in Patna there is this Kuan. There's this well called Agam well or Agam Kuan. Now it is believed that Ashoka killed his 99 brothers and literally buried them, or literally just deposited, threw them in that well. So, from here only you can assume that he was not the chosen person to ascend to the throne, right? He was not the chosen person. He actually usurped power. So, how did he do so? So, Ashoka was obviously not the eldest son of Bindusar, and it was not assumed that he would be the heir to the throne. So, according to Bindusar, he wanted Sushim, who was his eldest son, he was to be crowned the next king. Okay? But Ashok was trained in military and weapons and showed great skills as an administrator when he was made the governor of Ujjain. So his father had made him the governor of Ujjain, and he did show a lot of military might, and he also showed that he was a great administrator. All right, and then there was a war of succession after Bindusar's death, and Ashoka emerged victorious because he was supported by his father's ministers, and also he killed his 99 brothers to become the king. He made sure that there was no you can say no challenge to his throne by doing this. Now, when he became king, he is said to have been very bad tempered, ruthless, and very cruel. He even built a torture chamber for his, to torture his prisoners to death. This earned him the name of Chant Ashok or Cruel Ashok. So he was actually known as Cruel Ashok during the early part of his reign because he was so cruel. He built torture chambers and obviously he killed 99 of his own brothers. Now, once he became king, he started expanding, and it was only after the war of Kaling it is believed that he changed. Okay, what changed, how did he change, that's what we will take a look at. So let me know if you have any doubt in these two slides, otherwise we'll move ahead. Just take a look at both the doubts and let me know. You can just let me know in the live chats if you have any doubts. Okay. Alright guys, so no doubts then, we will move ahead. Now, so after the war of Kaling, something in Ashok changed. What was something that Ashok had gone through? So the war with Kaling ended in 261 BCE, and this was the 8th regional year or 8 years of Ashoka's reign. According to his own edicts, Ashoka was personally led by Ashoka. Obviously, the war was personally led by him, and he was able to win over. Obviously he won over Kaling. Okay? But during this war, whole cities were destroyed and more than 100,000 people were killed in the war. Now, the horrors of this war disturbed him so much that he decided to change his way. And he decided that he's going to give up on violence for the rest of his life. And hence he turned towards Buddhism. Okay, what did he do? He turned towards Buddhism. And Ashoka's 13th rock edict describes the Kaling War very vividly. And from here itself, all right, from here itself, he now became what? From here itself, he became Dham Ashok. All right. So from Chand Ashok, he had become what? From Chand Ashok, he had now become Dharm Ashok, which is a very, very, very big deal, guys. Hai ki nahi? So from what has he become? From Chand Ashok, he has now become Dharm Ashok. Now, he converted to Buddhism. All right. Mogaliputta Tisa, a Buddhist monk, became his mentor. Fine. So please remember these points, guys. These are very important. Who was his mentor? Where was he converting? What happened? When is he converting? After which war? All of these are very important. He even conducted the third Buddhist council at Patliputra under Mogaliputta Tisa's presidency. So who conducted the third council of Buddhism? It was Ashoka. So you have to remember all of these points. These are very important facts that you should remember. Okay. So let me know if there's any doubt, anything you've not understood. You can just let me know in the live chat session. All right. Okay, guys. Since there are no doubts, let's move ahead. Now let's talk about his Dhamma. So Ashok had converted to Buddhism, or he had accepted Buddhism, and he came up with Dhamma. Now what is Dhamma? Dhamma actually means dharma. Okay. And by dharma they mean righteous living. Alright. What do they mean by dharma? They mean righteous living. Okay, that's what they are talking about. Okay, so this is what Ashoka's Dham is all about. They're talking about what? They're talking about righteous living. So let's see what all was there in Ashoka's Dham. Ashoka established the idea of paternal kingship, means that the relationship between his subjects and him would be like a parent and child. He regarded all his subjects as his children and believed that it is the duty of the king to look after the welfare of the subjects. As I said, through his edicts, he said, everybody, so what were some things according to him that was the basis of Dhamma? First of all, he said that everyone should serve parents. They should revere their teachers. They should respect their teachers. They have to practice ahimsa and truthfulness. Ahimsa is non-violence. And he asked everyone to avoid animal slaughter and sacrifices. He expounded humane treatment of animals, servants and prisoners. And he also said that animals, servants, people who are working for you and prisoners should be treated in a humane manner. Also, he said that we should be tolerant towards all religion. Fine. and he sought conquest, and he wanted to expand his empire through dhamma and not war. He sent his missions abroad. In fact, he sent his son Mahendra and daughter Sanghamitra to Sri Lanka to basically propagate or to spread the word of Buddhism. Now, most of his edicts are written in Pali and Prakrit. Some of them are written in Kharoshthi and Aramaic. Now, some of them are Greek as well. So, the language depends on obviously the location, and he always sought to write whatever he had to write in the language of the common people so that they could understand, because he wanted to connect with them. And also, guys, remember, dhamma was actually for them only, hai ki nahi? It was not for the king. It was not meant to be read by the upper classes. It was meant to be read by them, but more importantly, it was for the lower classes, or basically it was for everyone, because he wanted everyone in his empire to read about it. Okay, so that's about it. Let me know if you have any doubts here. All right, let's move ahead. Now let's talk about Ashoka's edicts. Now, since we're talking about the Mauryan Empire, and I discussed a few sources with you when I started talking about the Mauryan Empire in the last class, I told there are a lot of sources, right? We have Ardhashastra, we have Indica, we have so many other sources, right? We have Buddhist sources, we have Jain sources, we have Brahminical sources, we have the sculptures. But most importantly, to understand the Mauryan Empire and particularly Ashoka's contribution, we have his rock and pillar edicts, or inscriptions that he has left for us. So James Prinsep, he was a British antiquarian. An antiquarian is a person who loves to collect old things. He was a colonial administrator, and he was the first person to decipher the Ashokan inscription or Ashokan edicts. Now this happened in 1833. Please remember the date. These Ashoka's inscriptions were the first tangible evidence towards Buddhism. So this is where, once Ashoka's language was translated, this is where they started talking about Buddhism. They started to getting to know about Buddhism. Now, uh, they were kept in public places and along trade routes so that maximum number of people would read them. More than religious discourses, they talk about moral duties of the people, how to conduct life. Ashoka's um just a second, guys. Just a second. Is my stream all right? Why is it lagging here? Guys, am I live or not? मेरा stream यहाँ पे ऐसा क्यों लग रहा है कि मुझे? Oh, okay, sorry. Now it's fine. मे- मेरा मेरा उस पे मोबाइल पे मेरा कनेक्शन आई थिंक वीक हो गया था, तो दैट वीडियो वाज लैगिंग, मुझे लगा मैं मेरा लाइव लैग कर रहा है. सॉरी अबाउट दैट गाइस. सो ओके, so I was telling you about Ashoka's edicts. Now, James Prinsep, he was a British antiquarian and he was a colonial administrator, and he was the first person to decipher Ashoka's edicts. Now, these Ashoka's edicts are first tangible evidence of Buddhism. So, how did people come to know about Buddhism? So, we have the stupas at Sanchi and everything, but this was the first tangible evidence. Something we could touch, something that we could feel, something that was definitely present there. So, that was the first tangible evidence about Buddhism, because Ashoka has definitely written a lot about it. Okay? Now, they were kept in public places and along trade routes so that maximum number of people could read them. So guys, as I told you, remember they were meant for the common people, right? ये common लोगों के लिए था, and hence they were kept in such locations like public places and trade routes so that maximum people would be able to read them. So while traveling or like that, they would be able to read it. More than religious discourses, they talk about the moral duties of the people and how to conduct life. So, more than moral, so there's no religious discourses here. The edicts are basically and mostly talking about dhamma, moral duties of the people, how to conduct their life, Ashoka's desire to be a good and benevolent ruler, and all the work that he has done to become a good and benevolent ruler. So, as you can see, we are basically talking about dhamma. So Ashoka's Dhamma has very beautifully been depicted in his edicts. Now, there are 33 in total, 33 inscriptions in total that we have been able to decipher, जो हमें मिले हैं, ठीक है? जो हमें मिले हैं वो कितने हैं? वो 33 हैं. Fine. So they were kept in public places. Sorry, तो 33 हैं, और भी बहुत सारे हैं. There's still lot many which have not yet been deciphered, or they are not very nicely preserved, or the meaning has been lost, or the edict has been destroyed. So there are a lot of other inscriptions that we don't really know about. Now they are divided into different parts. So first of all, we have major rock edicts, minor rock edicts, separate rock edicts, major pillar, minor pillar. So this is how it is divided. Now we'll be taking a look at all of these. In the earlier half of its reign, the edicts were inscribed on conveniently located rock surfaces and were distributed in areas of public segment where the people could easily read them. I already told you that this was located, this would be located in certain areas where the people could easily read them. Now, in the later part of his reign, inscription was done on polished monolithic pillars also. So earlier it was done on rock, but later part of his reign it was done on polished pillars as well. So we have sites like Chunar and Varanasi. Fine. Each edict surmounted with a finely sculpted animal capital involving great technological expertise in cutting and engraving were mainly confined to the Ganges plain. So what they're saying, what with each pillar or each edict that we have seen, there would be some beautifully carved animals on it, particularly the lion capital, which we use today as our national emblem. Now those sculptures, or those kind of sculptures, is actually only limited to the Gangetic plain, or basically towards the northern area only. Okay, so let me know if you have any doubts here, guys. Otherwise we move ahead. Just let me know in the live chats if there's anything you don't understand. Alright, let's move ahead. Now, as I told you that the inscriptions are in the common language, the Prakrit, okay, in Magadhi, are written in Brahmi script throughout the greater part. Fine. So most of the towards the greater part, as in most of the inscriptions are written in which language, guys? It is written in Prakrit. Fine. Towards the northwestern part, they also appear in Kharoshthi script, which is in Khandal in Afghanistan. They were also written in Aramaic, in the Greek script, in the Greek language. Now, obviously, it depended upon the location. So, wherever you are inscribing the pillar inscription or the rock inscription, depending upon the local language of that particular place, the inscription also was done in that particular language itself. Okay, so that's what they are talking about here. Fine. And as you can see, according to the location also, if Ashoka is changing the language, it is always the language of the common people and not a language which the people could not read. Okay, most of the inscriptions are about dham. As I told you earlier only, that most of the inscriptions are about dham. Prakrit form of dharm literally means righteousness of living. It was inspired by the Buddhist Upasaka Dham. Please remember this. This is very important. How was it inspired? Where was it inspired from? Buddhist Upasaka Dham. The Buddhist teaching for the laity, for the common people. So, Ashoka's Dham emphasized on non-violence, mutual respect, understanding between people of different sects and beliefs. It included the state's concern for the welfare of its people. The basic attributes of Dham included compassion, clarity, truthfulness, piety, purity, gentleness. He asked the people to extend respect and consideration and compassion towards slaves and servants, obedience of parents, generosity towards friends, relatives, and regard to donations to Brahmins and Sharmanas, a concern for all living beings, and abstain oneself from destroying life. So all this, guys, I've already explained. Okay, I've just talked about this in the last slide itself. So just let me know if there's anything you don't understand. I'll repeat again. If not, I think this is quite clear. So what all is he emphasizing on? He is emphasizing that there should be obviously tolerance towards different religion. Fine. He is also saying that people should be extending respect and consideration and compassion towards every person, chahe wo, he is coming from whichever social strata. So either they are slaves, servants, they should be obedient to their parents, they should be showing generosity towards their friends and relatives, and they should hold the religious people in high regard, and also try to follow this righteous path without destroying life. Okay? So please let me know if there's any doubt. In the live chat session, you can let me know if you have any doubt. Okay. Alright, guys, let's move ahead then. Now let's talk about the major rock edicts. Now, again, guys, this is something that you have to learn. Where is this rock located? What are they talking about? What are the major rock edicts talking about? You have to remember the name, the number, and what are they talking about. So major rock edict 1. It prohibits sacrifice of animals, especially during festive seasons. Major Rock Edict 2. Medical treatment of humans and animals, planting of fruits, medicinal herbs and digging of wells. Mentions the Pandyas, the Satyapuras and the Kerala Putras of South India. Okay. So what are they saying? That their medical treatment should be provided to humans and animals. Fruit plants should be planted. Medicinal herbs should be planted. Wells should be dug. All right. Major Rock Edict 3, that talks about generosity towards the Brahmins. About it also mentions about the Yuktas, the Parideshikas, the Rajukas, who would go every 5 years to different parts of his empire to spread Dhamma. So I hope you remember who Yuktas, Parideshikas and Rajukas are. These are people, these are officials who are part of the Mauryan administration, okay. Some is responsible for the revenue, some is responsible for revenue collection. So they had to go in different parts of the empire to spread the message of Dhamma. Major Rock Edict 4 talks about Dhamma Ghosh, alright, over Bedhi Ghosh. So what is he saying? That the sound of Dhamma and righteousness over sound of war. Fine. The king Ashoka attached greatest value to his duty. So what is he saying here? That most important thing is what? The most important thing is Dharma Ghosh, as in spreading, he wanted to expand his empire on the basis of dharma and not on the basis of war. And he considered that his duty is the most important. Okay. Then we have Rock Edict 5. It talks about Dhamma Mahamantas. Now these are officials who were appointed to spread the message of Dhamma. He talks about the slaves and how they should be treated in the right manner. He also mentions a special cadre or a group of officials called Dhammakosh, who were appointed to spread the message of Dhamma within the kingdom. Then Rock Edict 6 talks about king's desire to know about his people's condition and about the welfare measures that he has taken. So he wanted to be aware about what the people were going through. Then the seventh one talks about religious tolerance towards all religious aspects, all religious sects, and he also wanted to take up welfare measures for the public in his as well as his neighboring kingdoms. So he wanted to take up what? He wanted to take up welfare measures for his people. Then we have Major Rock Edict 8. Ashoka's first visit to Bodh Gaya and the Bodhi tree, where Buddha had attained enlightenment. And here also he gave importance to Dhamma tours. And then finally Rock Edict 9. He condemned popular ceremonies and he basically is going against those yagyas and pujas, and he's stressing more on moral conduct, that how you conduct yourself, what are your values, that is what is important. Again, very much inspired by Buddhism. Then we have the 11th one. Dhamma is the best policy, alright, which includes respect towards elder, respect towards slaves and servants. Okay. The 12th one mentions the Mahamantas who were in charge of women's welfare. Itijika Mahamanta and tolerance towards Dhamma of others. So there were certain Mahamantas who were appointed just so that they could do something for the welfare of the women in the society, which is a very big deal, I would say. The next Rock Edict mentions his victory over Kalinga, mentions Ashoka's Dhamma victory over King Antiochus of Syria, Ptolemy of Egypt, and Magas of Cyrene, Antiochus in Macedon, and Alexander of Epirus. Also mentions the Pandyas and the Cholas. So what is this Rock Edict mentioning? It is mentioning that how Ashoka had won over all of these rulers, all of these great rulers from great big dynasties, from great big places, on the basis of Dhamma. Now, the 13th Rock Edict was issued at the end of the Kaling War and gives a vivid picture of the change of Ashoka from an aggressive to a violent ruler to a person who was a great lover and someone who basically practiced peace. The direct and immediate effect of the Kaling War was his conversion to Buddhism. And the 14th one basically talks about the purpose of Rock Edicts. So purpose in the sense, why have the Rock Edicts been ascribed? Why have they been put up in different places? What is the purpose of this Rock Edicts? That's what they're talking about. Okay? So just take a look at all the rock edicts, guys. Let me know if you have any doubts, if there's something you don't understand. Because ये बहुत important है. This is something very, 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 very important. You have to remember all of them. Let me know in the live chats if you have any doubts. Alright, let's talk about the minor rock edicts. Minor rock edicts are found in 14 rocks. Now, these are minor rock edicts. Major rock edicts we've spoken about. So, minor rock edicts have been found on 14 rocks across the country and in Afghanistan also. Ashoka uses his name only in 4 of these places. Now, most of the time, Ashoka actually does not use his own name. What has he used? He has used the titles which he had taken. So, Devanam Piya, Piyadasi, all of these are the names which he had used. So, actually, when we started deciphering the inscriptions, it was quite difficult to understand who has issued them. Had he not used his original name, had he not used the word Ashoka in these 4 places, then we would have never known that they were issued by the same person, or that Devanam Piyadasi is the same person. Okay, so these are some places. So Maski, Brahmagiri, which is in Karnataka, Gujarat, which is in Madhya Pradesh, and Nittur, which is in Andhra Pradesh. These are the only places where he had used his own name. Otherwise, he has used what? Otherwise, he has used his title. Okay? Alright. आगे बढ़ते हैं and let's talk about the pillar edicts. There are 7 pillar edicts, alright, and there are 2 types of stones which have been used. First of all, we have spotted white sandstone, which is from Mathura, okay, and then we have the other one is a buff colored sandstone and quartzite from Amravati. Alright, so these are the 2 types of stones which have been used. Generally, they're made of sandstone quarried from Chunar. So Chunar is a place where the sandstone would be coming from, and that is where the writings have been done. They have the most similar form and dimensions, and most of the pillar inscriptions have a similar form, and the dimensions are also same. All the pillars are monoliths and the surface is well polished. Monoliths means carved out of stone, or basically carved on one stone. Fine. And the surface is very well polished. It's very smooth. So they've been found in different places like Khandar, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, then Delhi, Vaishali and Champaran, Sarnath, Allahabad, Amravati and Sanchi. So these are the places where it has been found. Again, very important, guys, to remember this. Fragments of the same edicts are found in different places. So sometimes one edict, the fragment of that is found in different locations as well. Now, many pillars are as high as 50 feet and weigh around 50 tons. So you can imagine how high they must be going. They are devoid of bases and cylindrical shaft tapers slightly upwards to a height of 12 to 14 meter. A cylindrical bolt joins the top shaft to the capital and have bell shaped a stone carved in the shape of inverted lotus. Okay, so this is the shape that they are talking about. Okay, it's cylindrical in shape. So basically, this is the shape that they must be having. Fine. A cylindrical bolt जो ऊपर का हिस्सा है, basically this part is like an inverted bell shape. So this is how it is. Okay, this is how the upper part of the pillars basically are. So this is how the pillars would be arranged. So very much in a cylindrical shape. Fine. Now, there's a platform on the top of the bell which supports the crowned animal. So on the top of the bell, there is a platform. So there would be a platform like this, okay, which supports the crowned animal. So the animal sculpture would be constructed. So as I told you earlier, so that's that the platform would be built to support the animal sculpture. The pillar depict animals such as elephants, lions, wheels, lotuses, which are all significant in Buddhism. So all, just if you all remember, when I was talking about Buddhism, I mentioned some of the symbols which have been used in Buddhist sculpture, right? If you remember, I told you about the stupa, I told you about the wheel, I told you about the serpent, animals, Gajalakshmi. All of these animals have been monkey, jackal. All of these animals have been mentioned. Fine. So similarly, when Ashoka was constructing his pillar inscriptions, he also used animals such as elephants and lions, wheels and lotuses. For what? Because all of these are very significant symbols in Buddhism. The majestic pillar edicts have been found at Topra, Rampurva, Nigali Sigar, Loria Araraj, Loria Nandargarh, Sarnath and Meerut. Firoz Shah Tughlaq shifted pillars from Topra and other from Meerut to Delhi. So I'm sure you all know, if you've ever been to the Qutub complex, you will find this iron pillar which does not rust. You will find that there in the Qutub complex. So that was done by Firoz Shah Tughlaq. And these are the locations of the pillar edicts. Okay. Let me know if you have any doubts here. Otherwise, we'll move ahead. All okay, guys? No doubts? चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. So let's talk about the major pillar edict and let's see what are they saying. So pillar edict 1 talks about Ashoka's principle of protecting his people. Pillar 2 defines Dhamma as minimum of sins, many virtues, compassion, liberty, truthfulness and purity. I've already spoken to you about Dhamma. I've already explained what Dhamma is. So I hope you remember, you understand this. Now, defines Dhamma as minimum of sins, matlab that you should conduct your life in such a way that you don't conduct or you don't do any kind of sinful activity. Okay? Third one is basically avoiding practices of cruelty, sin, harshness, pride and anger among his subjects. So he wants his subjects to basically remove any form of cruelty, sin that they have committed, any harshness, any pride, any anger that they have. Okay? The fourth one talks about the responsibilities of the Rajakas, and Rajakas are again one of the officials of the Mauryan dynasty. Then the fifth one talks about the list of animals and birds that should not be killed on certain days. So there were certain days in which animal slaughter was not allowed, and he has given a list of animal and birds which were not to be killed on certain days. Another list mentions that animals should never be killed, all right? Another list mentions the list of the animals that should never be killed, not on even on any particular day. He also describes the release of 25 prisoners, which he might have released. The Peeler Edict is known as the Delhi Topra Peeler Edict. So the fifth one is known as the Delhi Topra Peeler Edict. Fine. The sixth one talks about the Dhamma policy of the state for the welfare of the people. And the seventh one talks about Ashoka's work or whatever he had done to fulfilling Dhamma. Okay? Alright? To fulfilling Dhamma and what all he had done to fulfill his duties of Dham, how he has been tolerant towards different sects, and it also talks about the Dhamma Maha Mantras. Okay? So this is very simple, guys. Something which he's already talked about in the Rock Edicts, but here also he's talking about it in the Pila Edicts. Let me know if you have any doubts here. Okay, let's move ahead then. Now, let's talk about some other edicts which are important, obviously, but they have not been particularly mentioned in major Peeler and Rock edicts. Now, we have one in Allahabad, which is the Kosam Queen's Edict or Kosambi Schism Edict. Fine. Ashoka asked the members of the Sangh to refrain from causing division in the rank. Samudragupta inscription is on this edict itself. Jahangir shifted it to the fort of Allahabad. So what is Ashoka asking? Ashoka is asking the Sangh or the organization to refrain from causing any sort of division. Okay. Samudragupta's inscription is also on this particular edict, and Jahangir shifted it to the fort of Allahabad. Fine. Then we have Khandar inscription. It is the famous bilingual inscription because part of it is in Aramaic and part of it is in Greek. Then we have the Kaling edicts, which is Bholi and Jogda. Mentions all men are my children. So he's talking about all of his subjects to be his children. We have the Sunati inscriptions. It cites all the major rock edicts, okay, as well as the two separate Kalinga edicts. It gives us a list of all the major rock edicts. Rumindi inscription, which is in Nepal. It mentions that the village Lumbini, which was the birthplace of Ashoka, was exempted from any bali and they were to pay only 1/8 of the bhag. So everyone was paying 1/6 of the bhag, but because it was the birthplace of Ashoka, they had to pay only 1/8 of the bhag. Girnar Nok inscription mentions the Sudarshan Lake construction by Pushyagupta, a Rashtriya provincial governor of Saurashtra during Chandragupta Maurya's reign. So if you remember your NCRT books, I'm sure you will remember this, that how the Sudarshan Lake was constructed again and again. First of all by Pushyagupta during Chandragupta Maurya's reign, and then later by the Gupta Empire, later by Rudradaman. So that's what they're talking about. Minor Rock Edict 1 indicates that Ashoka's turn towards Buddhism after 2.5 years of being in power. Minor Rock Edict 3, Ashoka greets Sangha, professes deep faith in Buddhism, in Buddha, Dhamma and Sangh, also recommends 6 Buddhist texts for monks, nuns and general laity. So this third one is talking about his association with Buddha, his association with Buddhism, that how he's greeting the Sangha. He is professing his deep faith in Buddha, in the Dhamma, and in other Sangh as well. He's also recommending some text for the monks and for the common people as well. Okay. And lastly, we have the inscription of Manshera and Shahbaz Garhi, which is written in Kharoshthi script. Alright, so these are the various inscriptions or the rock edicts of Ashoka, which obviously is very, 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 very important. Okay, you must remember these guys, because this is what is going to help you in every other aspect. ये सारे आपको याद होने चाहिए. What is there in each of the inscription? What is the language? Where it is located? You should be able to point it out on map itself. I know this is very difficult, but there's nothing you can do but remember them. So today we have finished with our discussion of the Mauryan Empire. All right, and then after this we will be talking about the decline of the Mauryan Empire and rise of those empires who came after the Mauryan Empire. We have the Satavahanas, we have the Shakas, we have the Guptas, we have Vardhan Empire. So that's what we'll be talking about in the later classes in detail. Okay, so I really hope that you guys have enjoyed the class today. And if there is any difficulty or anything that you would want us to add, I would request you to put it in the comments section. If there's anything you did not like, if there's anything you want us to add or anything like that, guys, it's a request to do let us know in the comments section. And before I end the class, I would again request everyone to join the Telegram group. The link has been given, and at the same time, the scan code has also been given. So you're more than requested to join the group, because this is where you will get update regarding the classes. You will also get your notes. You can talk to the teachers. And before you all leave, please do like the video, share the video, comment on it if there's something you like or if there's something you don't like. We are always looking forward to improve ourselves. And also, guys, it would really mean a lot if you could subscribe to the channel. It would really make me very happy, and also press the bell notification so that you get notified whenever we post a new video. So that would be a great thing to do. So thank you so much for joining me here. It was an absolute pleasure to see you all. A big thank you for joining the class. A big thank you for watching it. And those watching it later on, please do drop in a comment and let us know how we are doing. You know, words of appreciation are never enough. So thank you so much, guys. It was an absolute pleasure to see you all here. Bye bye. Take care. See you. Good night. No, sorry. Good night. But see you.